And Greg Haynes, who is the CEO of the Cattlemen's Beef Board, is joining us. And Greg, before we talk about maybe what's going on internationally, let's talk about maybe the checkoff, only maybe the structure, but some of that misinformation, some of those things that folks may be being a little speculative of what the checkoff is or isn't.
Right. Yeah, no, and I've been in my role here now for, over a year. And that's really one of the first things that stood out to me was that, the checkoff has been around for 35 years. It's doing a great job. It's doing what it's supposed to do. But a lot of the producers that have grown up in this time weren't around when the checkoff was first started and really understand what its focus is and what it should be doing. And that's led to, I think, people putting out information that is completely incorrect about what the checkoff does. So the checkoff is designed to build demand for beef. And so I think that's something that supports all producers wherever you are. The more consumers want beef, the more value is going to be generated. And so that's its main focus through promotion and research and all this. The checkoff doesn't do anything on the policy side, and that's good because policy always has different positions. And so if there's somebody who's like, you need to be focused on this policy thing, there's obviously others who don't agree with that. And so if we were doing that, we're going to be alienating half of the producers out there. So we don't even deal with policy at all. By law, we can't do that. And we have checks to ensure that any of our contractors are not doing anything with policy. So any checkoff programs that are going on out there are all on a cost recovery basis. So these contractors have to pay for those programs that they've already had approval to do, that the producers have picked, and then they submit invoices and we review it to make sure they're doing what they were supposed to do, and then they get reimbursed. So we're not giving money to anybody to do things until it's done and we verified that it's what they were supposed to do. And the contractors also have to have approval from producers. So the funding decisions for the contractors aren't made by, me or a corporation or anything. It's all producer led. So we have committees made of producers who are reviewing and giving feedback to the contractors on the programs they're doing. The contractors take that back and then they have a final meeting with what we call a beef operating committee. And so that committee then looks at, okay, we've got a finite set of resources. Where are we going to get the biggest impact for our dollars? And then they allocate those to the contractors for programs they've proposed. So what they're approved for is very set, and then they have to do that, and then we reimburse them. So there's a lot of checks and balances here. And again, a key thing that I think people don't realize is that this is a producer-led program. They're making these decisions. So that's very, very important to know that this is not just somebody else making it up or an organization deciding, but it's producer led.
And one of those things is expanding the reach in the market for beef, and that is continuing to develop overseas markets. And we continue to see reports that we are finding new markets for different cuts of meat, to different ways, and the way to bring value to that whole animal.
Exactly. So the checkoff, we said, is designed to build demand, and you've got 96% of the world's population outside of the United States. And these economies are growing and their middle classes are growing and they're demanding higher quality proteins. And so they're moving up, and we've got beef here. We're one of the most efficient producers of beef in the world. The quality is, amazing. And so there's a lot of demand out there. And as these economies are growing, one thing we don't think about is when we're exporting beef, it's usually not all the beef that we're eating. In the US, we like hamburgers and steaks. But when we're exporting the products, we're not exporting that. We're exporting, livers and tongues and tripe and short plate and short ribs, items that we don't eat as much here. And so that brings a lot of value back. If we were not to have those export markets, that means, you and I, instead of grilling up a steak this weekend, are going to have to grill up some liver and tongue, which I don't think we really want to be doing. So this adds a lot of value to the carcass. And I think, too, as these economies develop, they're going to move towards more of these, higher end cuts, steaks and things like that, which is good because that gives us another outlet and more demand for it. So we're able to increase our operations, grow more beef, develop that. but also have more demand and more value for that coming back to us. So for me, I mean, I think the international markets are exciting. We've had some challenges with COVID, but we're seeing that international demand is staying extremely strong, just as it is here. And so I think that bodes very well for the beef industry over the next years.
Well, Greg, we always appreciate our conversations, and thanks for the update.
No, appreciate it. Thank you, Ken. If there's anything we can ever do, please let us know. And thanks to all the producers out there. Great
Greg
job.
Haynes, thank you. Greg Haynes, CEO of the Cattlemen's Beef Board, has joined us. Stay with us. We'll have more in just a moment.